Hey, welcome back to the VET S.O.S podcast brought to you by the Who You Know Network. VET S.O.S is a proud member and supporter of the Parade Deck community. Remember, don't drown to see a transition. Grab the VET S.O.S Lifeline. We're happy to have Molly Bode with us today. She's going to be telling us about a great organization specific to the state of Kentucky called Kentucky Valor. Can't wait to get into this discussion. Those of you who've been following the show, we've been starting to bring on some of these state-specific organizations and just amazing things that are happening in these states. So really, those who live there, are from there, plan on returning there, and even those that want to move to these specific states, this is great information for you to take down and really get into it. Once again, I'm joined by Keith Cassant, the one and only Band-Aid Ripper. Eric's out on mission still. How you doing today, Keith?
I am living the dream this morning, Sean. It's great to be back. And as always, it's an absolute honor and privilege to be here and happy to be filling in for Eric.
We are glad to have you. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it. Molly is the Executive Director of Kentucky Valor, which stands for Veterans Accelerated Licensure Occupational Recruitment, an initiative of Kentucky Science and Technology Corporation. Kentucky Valor assists individuals transitioning out of the military and their families to obtain occupational licensure and secure a fulfilling post-service career in Kentucky. Molly is a licensed social worker by trade who obtained a bachelor's in community communication and leadership development from the University of Kentucky and a master's in social work from Spalding University. She's currently finishing her doctorate at the University of Kentucky with a concentration in occupational regulation and licensing. She currently resides in Lexington, Kentucky with her 6-year-old son. Molly, we are so happy you're joining us today. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to meet you both and talk a little bit more about our program.
Absolutely. I can't wait to get into that. But before we do that, I really want to know what your path was like. How did you go from being a social work student in Kentucky to working in a veteran focused type program?
So I do not have a history in the service, but have a lot of appreciation and passion for those that did serve. I really think as a social worker, I zeroed in on that community because I saw how much that service members and their families sacrificed during their time. And I want as a social worker and in my career to give back to them. And I think Kentucky as a state is on the same track as that. After they're transitioning out of the military, what can we do to ease that transition? So, I call my previous career, I was in healthcare, dabbled in a little bit of research and policy with the Kentucky Board of Social Work and fell in love with it and realized with occupational licensure in particular, one population that really struggles obtaining licensure between states are those that move around a lot, and that's the military population. So as I began to dig deeper and deeper into that, I saw the need for change and wanted to help impact that change.
That is awesome. And speaking for the military community, I know we appreciate it. That's for sure. And before we jump into the Kentucky Valor piece, was it and I guess it's kind of tied to it. Did this all sort of spawn? Because didn't President Trump pass something, I think, where it made it easier to get licensure, especially for military and spouses?
He did. He did a reciprocity for spouse licensure across all 50 states. And it was really perfect timing because around that same time, and while I was doing work with the Kentucky Board of Social Work, Kentucky was granted a federal Department of Labor grant called VALO. And Kentucky was one of 3 states awarded that initiative. And that's how I got kind of my first job in this arena. VALO was the predecessor to Kentucky Valor, what we're talking about today. But what VALO did was it was a pilot initiative where we looked at how to create accelerated pathways for military education and experience towards civilian licensures. So essentially trying to eliminate the need for folks to start over when they're exiting out of the military. My team spent 4 years working with the Federal Department of Labor on how to do that and creating those pathways. And that initiative ended in June of 2022. And we had a lot of success with that because it was needed. Prior to Valo, just to take a 68 whiskey coming out of the Army, they had to complete the whole civilian training to become an EMT. And that's just not right.
I agree with you there. She's dropping MOSs on us, Keith.
Right? I know. I was like, oh, nice. So dumb Army guy here. So I mean, I can gander at when you say occupational licenses. I kind of have an idea, but I'm just kind of curious. And I may be putting the cart before the horse here. This may be a discussion point, but I'm not overly familiar. Like what all entails in the term, what all is entailed in the term occupational license? Are we talking like just like certain things like real estate or whatever? Or is it like kind of run the full gamut?
It does. It runs the full gamut. We have accelerated pathways in the industries of healthcare, education, trades. So states regulate professions in order to, have a benchmark of a minimum standard of competency in order to perform that profession and to protect the public. On the other side, military, sometimes they follow those laws or they follow one state's particular law, or a lot of times, for example, like a veterinary tech, it's a quick in-house training in the military that does not exactly correlate to state-specific laws. And even if you're meeting one state's laws, it doesn't mean the other states are going to recognize that, you have the military training or that you're even licensed in a different state. So, that's kind of the problem for folks once they gain a career in the military or even become licensed in one state and then are looking to work across borders. To give you a little bit further of an example how that works, it's ridiculous because you're doing essentially the same job, and to use the 68 whiskey example, an Army medic is very similar to a paramedic. And we found it silly that upon transitioning out, they didn't qualify for an EMT license in the state of Kentucky and in many states. So they were forced to really redo the whole training over again. And after the Valo grant, we worked with the Kentucky Board of Emergency Medical Services to compare the training and to compare the skill sets and to give them credit. And we found that not only is it correlated to an EMT, but it's more directly correlated to an advanced EMT, which comes with a little pay raise. So now anyone that was a 68 whiskey, or whether they're licensed, whether they went through the National Registry or have an active license, if they were a 68 whiskey within the last 6 years or so, they automatically qualify for an advanced EMT license in the state of Kentucky. If they wish to pursue a paramedic, we've created a bridge course with Kentucky Career and Technical College System where they can just get the needed pieces. So really just trying to eliminate the need for folks to start over. That's one key example in the healthcare field, but there's examples, like I said, in trades, education, all different career interests.
That is just fantastic. I mean, you start thinking about the transition piece, and granted, I was in intelligence, so it wasn't, I wasn't specialized in something like being a 68 whiskey, but being able to come out and not have to start over, depending on, especially, say you did 20 years and you've done this, it was a big part of your life, and having to start over, I would imagine would be a little frustrating. So this is just a great initiative to be able to do that. So how does someone get involved in Kentucky Valor? How does, someone coming out deciding they're going to go to Kentucky, they want a certain thing? How's that process work?
So we hope to meet as many people as we can. We travel across the country and go to different hiring events and different TAP events. But anyone that happens to that wants to get involved or wants to explore their career options in Kentucky can go to KentuckyValor.com. There's a little red button on that page that says connect with our team, and we will reach out to you and build an individualized approach and timeline for what you're wanting to do and when you get out of the military if you're not already out. We help with CSP and skill bridge options over that transitionary time. We really just want to make things easy.
We appreciate
awesome. Yeah. That's an awesome sounding. Oh, go ahead, please.
Yeah, we do the same thing for military spouses and family members. So a quick thing I talked a little bit about VALO, the federal initiative. That was a pilot program where our sole job was to create these pathways. We couldn't run any military person through them. We could not create the pathways for the specific use of the veteran spouse because it had to bridge military and civilian education. We couldn't spend a lot of time even marketing that these pathways existed in the state of Kentucky. So those three things are really what we're concentrating now on the state-specific initiative, Kentucky Valor. We want to help anybody and everybody. We will help spouses, we'll help kids, any family member that you have that wants to get a good job or a license in the state of Kentucky, reach out and we'll help.
Yeah, this is an amazing program. So, I just have two questions actually,
Sure.
if I could. So, first of all, so it sounds like anybody in the country can essentially sign up for this program, but I'm assuming because they're essentially getting licensed in the state of Kentucky, they would have to. There's basically an expectation that they're relocating to Kentucky if they're not already there.
The economy here is booming. We have some of the lowest costs of living. So I think it's a pretty attractive state here in Kentucky. Plus, it's beautiful. I'm a little biased. But our goal is to have folks here and to relocate. However, we do have some remote options. Our employers just recognize that this is an awesome talent pool to pull from. And so if you are a military spouse and your spouse is currently deployed and you are somewhere else, we will still help you. If you want a remote job or if you want to even come to Kentucky temporarily, whatever, we're going to help you. We have partners across the country that do similar things that we do. So if you want to go home to Indiana or Wisconsin or wherever that is, I'm going to do what's right by you and forward you to folks that do similar work to us. So if Kentucky's not your jam, it's going to hurt my feelings a little bit, but we'll get you where you need to go.
Yeah, no, I don't see why. Yeah, my son's actually at Fort Knox, and at least he's greatly enjoying it way more than he was at Fort Drum, New York, like right near the way colder and a lot more snow. So he's enjoying Knox a whole lot more. So with that, I actually kind of have a question. So, the program's designed to take your military experience and roll it over into like licensure or something. So case in point, like my son, he went 11 Bravo infantry. He's actually reclassed. Now he's combat engineer, but they're both pretty similar, kicking indoors, blowing stuff up. So I had to say, like, are there any MOSs that maybe don't necessarily translate, or do you have like a licensure kind of available to every single MOS we've got?
We do. So
wow.
We have 44 accelerated pathways that span 55 categories or different occupations and cover over 180 different MOSs. Wow. With that said, we have something for everybody. When creating these pathways, I was really purposeful to try to create multiple points of entry in each pathway. So if you don't have relative experience, let's give you as much credit as possible. I'll give you two examples of how that works. For an educational pathway, say you're looking to get into a career that requires a bachelor's degree and you don't have one. We partnered with the University of Louisville, and they have an occupational leadership program that will give you up to 2 years of credit for a 4-year degree for prior learning in the military. Licensure pathway, that's an example, is like our home inspector pathway, open to anyone. It's a 1-week course. they get a tuition discount for being prior military. And at the end of that course, we will hook you up with an attorney to help you start your own home inspector business, or hook you up with an existing business that will get you employed and ready to go. So those are two kind of quick examples, but it doesn't matter what you've done. We look at where you want to go and find you a purposeful, meaningful post-service career.
That's awesome. So you got the group that wants to stay in their career field, may have that direct pathway like a 68 whiskey into, being an EMT and being certified. And you got all these other ones that, for someone like me coming out, career intel, didn't want to do intel when I got out. Right. And, so I could pick a different way to go. And that's just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And the fact that you guys work together as states too is really cool, because it was InVets that introduced us.
Yes.
And so I'm trying to envision this. What's a career field look like when you have all these state organizations out there? Do they put you guys like in one separate area, or you spread out among everybody else?
We're all friends. We see each other all of the time, and we're even in a group chat together on our phones. So we work very closely together, and we try to, even at the career fairs, all stand together. And when someone comes to me and say, "Oh, I really want Indiana," I'm like, "Well, I know the person for you to talk to." So, another great organization is Semper Forward out of Wisconsin, and he has connections everywhere. So if I can't help someone, I say, I have a guy for you, and I'll pass them along. I'm not in the business of really trying to get somebody in a $8 an hour job in the middle of nowhere. I want to find someone a purposeful career, settled in a community that their spouse and family are happy in. And if that's Kentucky, great. If it's not, then let's get you where you need to go.
That's awesome. And, we've had InVets on now we've had Kentucky Valor, and we have Semper Forward coming on next month. So,
okay.
all of you were amazing to talk to, and the stories that you're telling when you come on here, just phenomenal. And the funny thing is, and I don't know about you, Keith, when you came out, but I didn't know about many state-specific programs.
No, I didn't know about. The only thing I knew about was the troops to teachers thing. We get the teaching license, but that was the only thing I had heard of. I'm sold. Like, my son's going to be reaching out to you, or I'll be reaching out to you, because he's actually getting out in about a little over a year now. So yeah, no, this is good stuff. I'm really digging this. So I actually got another son in the Coast Guard who's also getting it. So actually, let me ask you this. So is this, so like my son in the Coast Guard, he's actually getting out next month. He's already going to be looking to go to college, but are service members able to kind of circle back after they've been separated maybe for a little while, 6 months to a year? Absolutely. Are they able to circle back and still leverage this?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It doesn't matter when you served. You could be at a job and want a better one. We'll still help you. That's
awesome. Yeah, no, that's absolutely awesome. Yeah, I got two kids that are going to be looking at your. Well, one's up in Wisconsin, so I might get him in touch with. I was gonna say I met him before. His name escapes me, so I feel bad right now. But yeah, Steve. There you go. Yeah, I've spoken with Steve before, but yeah, my other son in the Army, he might be reaching out.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I can. You said your son was at Fort Drum?
Well, he was previously Drum. Now he's loving life a whole lot more at Fort Knox. Yeah.
At Fort Knox, yeah. I grew up in central New York, so I know the snow that they get there. And Kentucky is much better and much better weather than up there.
Absolutely, yeah. I too am from upstate New York, so I'm very familiar. But I'm more on the east side, north of Albany. But
okay.
So, plus, Kentucky has all the bourbon.
Yeah, that's a major selling point.
Because we veterans don't have a drinking problem.
Yeah, no, anyway, not at all. That was one regret when I was at Campbell. I never did the Bourbon Trail. So I still need to do that at some point. But the total side topic. With Kentucky Valor, are there plans for the future? Like, are you guys working on anything big that you're going to be trying to roll out here or expand as
we are. So you may want to follow us on social media. We're on all of the major platforms, and see how as things develop over the summer. a spoiler is we may be starting to expand from in U.S. bases to overseas bases. So even if you're not here, we want those services to be available to you. I would love to see over the next few years more of our program be centered around retention of folks here and making sure that they're integrated in their community and have the support and resources that they need. That's a social worker in me speaking, making sure that it's the person and environment approach, that we're not just placing you in a job and saying good luck, that you really are happy in the community and your family is hooked up where they need, and we can provide resources for the wife, kids, the whole gamut. So follow us on social media and you'll see some of those initiatives over the next couple years.
That's awesome, especially the overseas part. That's just huge. It's like our forgotten people almost, just because they're on such weird time zones. But the community piece is huge. Do you know Chris Lancia over in Tennessee?
I don't.
Okay, so I got to link you two up. He has a grid score recon thing that he was working on as part of the Travis Manion Foundation when he did the program through them. It focuses a lot around that, about basically setting up information pieces that service members can use to learn about the community and find ways to connect and things like that, especially with all the transitioning moving we do around the country. But he's working for the state of Tennessee now, running a veterans program for the governor's office. So definitely someone that I need to hook you up with so that you guys can continue to grow these services. Just absolutely amazing.
I would love that, especially since we share the Fort Campbell down there. Whatever we can do to best partner and learn from each other, that sounds great.
Yeah, no fighting. We need to be friends.
Right. I know. You know, there's times that I feel like everyone from Fort Campbell is going to Tennessee, and I'm like, but have you heard about what we have here in Kentucky?
I guess that big disadvantage is that Oak Grove. Is that the little place right outside? So you got Oak Grove on one side, then you have the much bigger
Clarksville.
Clarksville on the other side. So there's just more of a draw to the Tennessee side right there.
There is. But I've had a lot of people that moved to Clarksville, and within 6 months, they're like, "Hey, can you give me a better job up in Hopkinsville?" Or, you know, I've helped folks transition back up, and you know, one kid in particular got a HVAC license and is, you know, working towards a master license now, and so. You know, even if you find that you're not happy, we'll still help you.
That is awesome. So I'm excited that we're breaking news here on the show. You know, the potential expansion overseas and everything. So that's awesome. So how big is the team? You know, what's Kentucky Valor look like as far as a team? And you know, the follow up to that would be, how do people get involved? You know, to either help or to participate.
Yeah, so the team is a small team of 3 right now. We are currently hiring for our 4th. So I am the executive director of the program. We have Shannon Broadbeck, who is our case manager. She is who helps guide you through the whole process. So she is wonderful. She'll help you from step 1 to step 10, and then check on you afterwards. Nikki Stewart is my workforce development manager. She works with all of our employers and helps you get into the job placement, introduces you to those employers, will funnel open jobs your way. It kind of works both ways. Once we build a profile on you, we will send you open jobs, and we encourage anyone we're working for to let us know what jobs they've applied for. If they find something on LinkedIn, Indeed, whatever, and call us up and say, "Hey, Molly, hey, Nikki, I'm really excited about this initiative or this opportunity, but I don't know anyone at that company." We will reach out on their behalf and say, "Hey, that person's one of ours. You should look into it." Our primary goal is that their resume is on the top of the pile and that they at least get an interview. And if they don't end up getting the position, we'll keep it going. So Nikki is great with that. And we are finally we are hiring a recruitment specialist. So that position is currently open. I would like to see that position possibly around the Fort Campbell area, so they can help there a little bit more. That will help me. Right, currently I'm doing all of the out-of-state recruitment efforts. So that person will help travel, go to different bases around the country and possibly internationally,
Nice.
and help bring people that are interested into the pipeline.
It's like having your own personal advocate, Keith. I mean, seriously, they're going to call a company and try to get your resume to the top. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, no, this is an amazing program. I'm loving everything I'm hearing about it. It just keeps getting better and better. Like the overseas thing too. Like I'm a veterans program manager for a federal agency, right? And so I oversee the Skill Bridge program for my agency, and I get calls emails really all the time from folks like, "Hey, I'm in Japan, I'm in Korea, I'm in Germany. Like, do you have anything for me?" And more often than not, my hiring managers that are sponsoring these things, they're not comfortable with having somebody overseas, and they get the short end of the stick. So hearing that we have something that's going to hopefully start reaching our folks over there is amazing, because they have a much harder time over there. So that's awesome.
Great. I love that. We're not going to turn anybody away. If you need something, we'll help you.
That or she knows a person.
Right.
Or I know a person. That's true. That's
awesome.
That's absolutely phenomenal.
Let me tell you a little bit about we are finishing our website, and we are building a custom portal and database that I think some service members may find useful, or spouses. If you do not wish to talk to me or my team, this is a good way for you to see what jobs are out there in Kentucky. I always tell folks, I tell service members, no one is paying me to funnel you their way. This is free on the side of the service member and the employer. So this is totally service member led. And we hope to accomplish that through our portal and our website as well. So that should be finished within the next 30 to 60 days, we're hoping. So they can actually log on there, build a complete profile, enter what their MOS was, what their future career interests are, and it will automatically match them to those accelerated licensure pathways that could be an option for them in Kentucky, as well as open jobs that match their profile. So they can directly reach out and apply for those jobs without ever speaking to me. Additionally, our employer partners will have a login, and if the service member wants to upload their resume or list that, I'm interested in becoming an A&P mechanic and entering the aviation industry, our employers can reach out to them directly with an interview, job offer, etc. And so, we're just looking to be the middleman and connect people. So they don't necessarily have to talk to us. Once that's finished, they can kind of go on and poke around and see if anything catches their interest.
I love, Keith, how she sort of threw that out there as like a last minute thing. Like, oh, we got this other thing that we're working on that, I mean, that's huge. I mean, granted, I get the impression you'd rather people come talk to you.
Yes, because really they don't know what you don't know. So if there are licensures and certifications that you may, qualify for that you don't even know. So I'd rather you talk to us and we really work to build a timeline and individualized plan. But I know a lot of people kind of want to figure it out on their own first. So, we want to make both groups happy.
That's awesome. So Keith, bad news, man. We're down to the end again.
I
These
know.
go quick.
They do go quick. Yes, absolutely. This is on my second one. Yeah, they're flying through. So, and just real quick. So, do you want me to ask what the URL will be for that new site once it's up and running, or do you want me to just have them reach out to you and you'll give them the URL once they've reached out to you?
It's the current website. So it's
kyvalor.com.
kyvalor.com.
Okay.
Yep. You'll just see a makeover here soon.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it's still a great way to connect with our team. There's a red button there now that says connect with our team. That goes directly to Nikki, Shannon, and I, and we will reach out within 72 hours of getting those emails and start building a plan for you. So
That's awesome.
Like I said, be looking for the newer version. But we're just here to help everybody.
Yeah, and one of the things I tell service members as they're transitioning out is, the secret sauce to success at a very high level overview. One of the steps is leverage every resource you can possibly get your hands on, and this sounds like an amazing resource. So everybody listening, make sure you reach out to Molly and her team. Visit kyvalor.com, and don't necessarily just jump on the resources they have to help you. You leverage the resources that they're providing. Why not let somebody help you out? So that's amazing stuff. And unfortunately, we are out of time. So Molly, thank you so much for joining us. It was absolutely amazing. And on behalf of the VET S.O.S family, I'd just like to thank everyone for joining us today. Please be sure to follow us on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform. That's a bit of a tongue twister. And don't forget to remember not to drown in the sea of transition. Grab the VET S.O.S lifeline. I don't know why I'm so tongue-tied, but I appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Bill.